Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the universe. As always, I say positive affirmations. I don't even do my daily blogs as I used to do them before. The live shows took over and I got so into it and zealous, and it was like, wow. And I've met some awesome people along the way, which, for any newcomers to the show, I have put them all up on the Standing in My Truth website. And it has been actually it's never been a struggle, because people live for likes, and it's no point me doing this if I'm only going to do it for the likes. And it's been a really cathartic way of, because I live alone, it's been really good for me to start a podcast. There's no money being made. I think everything I've done through COVID is just not for no monetary or charity. I just keep finding the most amazing people and amazing things on social, and when I see them, I just want to interview them. I just want to know how your life has been. And I think purely because being in the music industry, and I know other people will agree, but there are some people in the music industry that would agree with me, that when you're in a band, or you've got a job and you're in a band, but it's a band that's half successful or is successful, and you don't need to go to work, or you're a DJ, and I can't speak from a DJ standpoint, but I do know, just seeing everything through lockdown, that's your job. A job is just a job, really. It doesn't matter if it's creative, or because even within construction, or whether it's media, you are creating. You are creating for someone else to buy your products. But let me stop digressing, as I always do, and take a breath and just come back to where I was trying to be. You lose friends. You lose people around you. And you start with a circle. It's like going to a new job. And the job that you were in before, say you were there for 3 years, you build up your team, don't you? You build up a group of people you go out to have dinner with, drinks with, holiday with. That's what we do. And then you leave, and then you go on to another job, and then you build another circle. And sometimes you may add some of the people you've left behind to the new people that you have. And I think that's just beautiful. But there are some of us who have only known musicians. It's a unique world to be in, because what happens is your non-musician friends won't get the lifestyle. They won't get living on the road. They won't get being in a tour bus. They won't get, actually, I can't speak for the new generation of artists these days, because it's, when I started out, there wasn't social media to sell music. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't a social media. And I don't care if you think that's me being old. There's people older than me still in the music industry, and they are very, very successful because they grafted. They went out there and, got into the pubs and sang in front of 3-4 people. And those 4 people told another 4 people, and those 4 people told another. And then luckily you find someone who was in an A&R record label who turned up and was at that pub, and they think you're great. And then they bring you to the Sonys and the Warners, and they tap into you. And yes, some of them may struggle and, take away your creative differences. But it's a different world. It always has been a different world. And I look at today's crop of artists coming through. You will never know what it's like to actually struggle to be an artist, because your fan base is based on likes and not necessarily sales. And this is me talking to someone who's got 5 million artists, likes on their Insta and on their street. You know, they've only just started, you know, not just started, but 5 million likes. And at that 5 million, maybe 1 million buys your songs. Or they'll download it, or they'll go and get your video and, you know, download the tracks from there. So there's no monetization to be had. And so they'll drop, you know, get their own merchandise, or merchandise has always been part of the creative industry, whether you're an artist, whether you're a singer, whether you're a band, whether you're a writer. You know, speak to any real producer who is not producing from any of those synthesizers, who actually can play an instrument, can actually play the keyboard, can actually play a guitar, can actually play the cello, can actually blow a trumpet. Ask any of those people, did you need social media to grow you? Or did your music speak for itself? I'm not taking, this podcast is actually not even about music I'm talking about the friends you keep and the friends you have. I can only stand from the standpoint, which is, it's difficult to live a certain way for, say, 10, 15 years and then trying to integrate back into society. Because the friends that you grew up with have long gone. They've moved on. And they have children and they have a whole life. They've been to weddings, they have parties, they have barbecues. And you're not there. The uniqueness of being in the music industry. I'll say it again. Or here's part 2. For those musicians who, I'm not talking who are not the musicians who are the band guys who have to be on tour with the Mary J. Bliges and you know, the Killers, or there's so many bands in my head. I just, you know, from the Groove Armadas to the Updates, the Basement Jacks, the Limoncello, you know, the Kasabians. I'm naming proper bands. I haven't got time to be naming the urban artists, because they're completely different to real musicians. I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep it real. You know, at me if you want. That's up to you. Yes, times have changed. Don't at me. But without these past bands and stuff, and I never thought the day I'd be saying these sort of things, but because I'm watching now how it just takes the beat of anything that you didn't create to make a hit song, because we have, you know, sensationalized. We've taken away the roots of actually going out there and making real music. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it as it is. I don't see it very often. And I think that's probably why I haven't sang for such a while, because of what is sent to me to work on. I genuinely think I can't. I really can't. You know, this is just... A song is verse, chorus, you know, and a good top line, and some of the top lines, some of the lyrics, I can't even understand what someone's saying. But anyway, this is not about moan or groan. This is my daily blog and the things that I live and see and breathe. Can't speak for anybody else, so please don't at me. Just understand where it's my daily blog. So going back to what I'm saying is, you know, you're in the music industry or you're a writer, and writers, and I'm talking about writing books, you have to find time to be away from other people, and you have to put your heart and soul into that book. Writing, whether it's fiction, whether it's autobiography, and then you've got to get that book published. But to do that, you have to stay away from society. You have to have that quiet space, that downtime to produce those books. You have to make that time. And then what happens is your social life crashes. It suffers. if there's any creative people out there that can get where I'm coming from fashion designers, you create the world you live in. Now, before COVID came along, and then, I literally, music was far and few between. We had odd gigs here and there, and, the money's not rolling in as much as you used to, so you go out and you get a job, and it's the standard across the board for a lot of people who've been musicians. And you're trying to create your friendship, because the friends that you've had prior, either one, aren't happy for you, or and if they are happy for you, there's no support coming from them. And I purposely never, ever pushed whatever I did creatively onto my friends, ever. And that's probably why I've still got the same bunch of real friends to this day. And even though they've gone on to do different things, they have never talked to me differently or acted differently towards me. The new crops of friends that I may have picked up on the way are the ones who scare the living shit out of me, because they pay lip service, but in fact, I don't know what they thought I was going to give them. And I'm talking about male and female. I've got the men that would want to meet me because they think that I'm going to take them on some musical freaking journey. Go and take your own fucking journey. Do you know what I mean? Don't be riding on my coattail. I've had to work hard for what I've got. You don't see me riding on anyone's coattail. I don't do that sort of thing. It's just not in me to do that. And I think people who use other people to get where physically use them with no intention of caring about that person's well-being or mental state, how they got to where they are. It's abuse. It really does knock me. You might as well call me the grumpy woman, because it really does. And I can't. And I'm not going to sacrifice myself now to get likes or do something. I have to stand in my own truth. I am not perfect by any means. And I'm always happy to see new things happening. Hence why I created Standing in My Truth, because I've just met some wonderful people out there who are trying to make a difference, not for society per se, but in their own lives. Because I know what it's like to try. I know what it's like to try. And I love talking to people who actually have not been given the same platform. I was lucky for the platform that I had. And I'm not trying to give anything back. It's just, if I can give back, impart knowledge by the people I speak to on these podcast shows, then that's a quarter of my work done. But part of it is cathartic. It allows me to release the madness going on in my head. My next daily blog I would speak about where people eat for stress, which was what was going to be today's show, but something came up, made me do this one instead. And it's about that whole, the friendships and music. So yeah, you create friends as you go along, but not everyone is for you. And you need to be comfortable in yourself. You need to be confident in yourself, no matter what it is. You can't do anything and think about, well, how is that person going to react if I do this? You have to just do what is necessary for you. Now, whatever the consequences that comes with it, you created that path. You're the only one that can deal with that. Do you know what I'm saying? I try to live my life with a smile. I like to make sure that the things that when I wake up, is positive that goes into my head. I can look at something first thing in the morning and it sets the tone for my day. And it can become crucial. It can become that crucial that my day is completely ruined. And I'm learning now not to let what I visually see become the standpoint for my day. through COVID, I've always been a loner, but through COVID, I've become even more lonely. More lonely because I've stepped away from things that doesn't stimulate my brain anymore. I try not to listen too much what's going on in the news and conspiracy theories, etc., and yada, 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 yada. I try to look at people that there's only so much quotes that you can look on the social TV. So I try to switch it all off. And the only reason why, as I said, I go onto the social is just so that I can build a platform and do the interviews, etc., etc. It's got to the point where I actually don't even care anymore. I've had the sublime to the ridiculous when I've asked people who have just got nothing really going for them, but because I'm so interested in what they're doing, and by me asking them, they're asking me about how many people are going to see it, and I think to myself, what's wrong with just having a conversation? I just wanted to have a conversation with you. I would love to do this on a live. We're in lockdown. Gives people something different to talk about. We can't all be, Skepta or Stormzy. We can't all be Annie Mac. We can't all be blinking, Graham Norton. We can't all be, we just can't all be, The Rock. We can't all be them. Be something different. Be unique. Jesus Christ, where has uniqueness gone? I would just love, and this is why, again, what I have done, standing in my truth, because I have found some really good, unique, wonderful people out there. The books that I've had time to read, and going right back to the beginning when I started the show, which was, being in your own bubble cuts you away from people who are making change out there. It's got to the, God, there's so much I want to talk about this week. So I'm going to, tomorrow I'll go on to about the black activists and the Black Lives Matters. And I do not do politics, but I cannot stand in my truth if I don't speak from my own standpoint. So join me on Tuesday for that particular podcast, because I, for one, I'm fed up of it. I'm fed up of all these bloody shows, and all of a sudden, and tokens, and every program all of a sudden there's a freaking black person in the advert, and I know full well that, and the worst, oh God, please don't get me started. I wouldn't mind if there were dark black skinned people. These are all, curly haired, light-skinned, you're lucky if you find anyone that's got a complexion that's darker than myself. Scary. It is still scary. It's still scary. So I won't go into that right now. I might as well call my podcast Daily Rants of the Week. But I'm standing in my truth. So, let's put positivity in your brain first thing in the morning or afternoon, whenever it is that you get up and you want to read or listen to something. Build, as I said, for me, I struggle to keep friends. I struggle because I've got so many variations around me, different things I get involved in, and I build friendships as I go along. I don't mean to, I never discard anybody, but at the end of the day, I still found that through lockdown, I end up still being alone in my own thoughts, and I thank God for having a podcast that I can just speak into, and even if nobody listens, I am able to allow myself to speak out there in my own home into my microphone, in the hope that I can feel better and I'm not alone in my thoughts. I'm not trying to be like any other podcast. So today's podcast is about creating friends. And even with friends, I'm still lonely. This is Valerie Maxfield and Maxfield, standing in my truth on the 29th of May 2021. Have a great bank holiday for those in the UK and in the US and around the world. Whenever you get this, have a great day. Have a great night. Have a great afternoon. And stay in peace. God bless you.